What's going on, world? It's your boy, excuse me, at Big Game James. Coughing, man. Ugh, kind of stuff. I had to give me some lunch. Um, Went to this Jerusalem place restaurant. I ain't gonna give them no credit, but like, I don't know why people say they don't see color, man. People who see color, I assume you don't see flavor. I love that about America that we got people from all over the fucking world. So I can go do silly shit like drink Arabic coffee and hope it's better than regular coffee. Oh shit, it smells strong as shit. Don't taste like dirt, so that's good. But anyways, this is Big Games BS brought to you by thehumidor.com. Type in sports den at checkout for 20% off. Over $150 orders, you get free shipping across the continental United States. Love that you guys keep supporting that. Right now, we're inside a Goodfellas Cigar Lounge. Funny, not so funny story though about the Cigar Lounge. I don't know if anybody. I'll tell the story. I think I have the credibility to be able to tell the story. We were shut down this weekend. I wish I could say it was to celebrate Mother's Day for all the wonderful mothers who work here. I'm Tracy, Carly. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but it wasn't. ABT, alcohol, beer, and tobacco, essentially rated us. But luckily, we know some people, and we were able to fight that off. And some people, the things that Goodfellas has been doing, it's been so on par. Everybody loves the experience, top notch. Scott does everything right. Blah blah blah. I could go on and on for days. Not just because I get a check cut, because you guys know how sponsorships work with me. I don't get sponsored by anything that I don't believe in, that I wouldn't use without getting a check. But when you come up and give a good product, people, instead of getting better, they get bitter. And basically everything is different now. We had some partners that didn't have things done the right way. Those people are no longer affiliated. Things are done the right way. And the problem is, all you did was motivate everybody to want to whip ass. There's a bunch of competitors here and a bunch of people who are used to being bullies and dominating their respective industries. So now that's all the people that Goodfellas is going to do. And then as we expand to different markets, trust me, Big Games BS will be all over the map. Up and down I-10, east to west on I-10, up and down 95. We're bringing the Big Games BS on the road once we have a lot of this stuff going on. But we're open. This week we'll have all kinds of different things. We'll have a big celebration that anybody who listens to Big Games BS, you'll get an opportunity to come in. Because if I'm a member, you're a member, you get to go wherever I go. So we're sincere about things like that. So going into what the news of the day, the week, or whatever is. And I'm gonna start off with this because we missed Monday's show, but I believe this happened on Sunday, if I remember correctly. Yep. Chris Paul mother was attacked by a fan of the Dallas Mavericks in front of his children in Dallas. Somebody put his hands in, and Chris Paul made this statement: "You want to find players for saying stuff to the fans, but the fans can put their hands on our families. Fuck that." And you know how bad a person you must be to make everybody come to the aid and to the back of Chris Paul? Nobody likes Chris Paul. He's a good athlete, but he's kind of a dick. But I tell you this, fans, and I blame Al B. Shore's internet, because you guys get a chance to talk, you verbalize, you say all these things, you create these opinions, and you create these views of athletes that you believe they are. But then you hide behind your normal human physique, your petite male physique. But you want to do big boy shit. And you forget that now, while not everybody who's large and muscular can fight, but a lot of these guys are in peak physical condition. If they put their paws on you, it's probably not going to end well for, let's say, 85% of the population. But this is why we need the malice in the palace. This is why we need these, because there needs to be checks and balances that come to guys. And to be honest with you, this is why things like when Chris Carter says you need a fall guy. This is why when guys speak candidly about why they need to have still these connections to neighborhoods that they came out of. This is why. Chris Paul doesn't need bodyguards. Chris Paul needs cousins. He needs god brothers. He needs family members whose sole purpose is to get into ignorant shit when he can't. Because there's a Rock Brooks saying, I mean, it's to quote George W. I think it said in Rock Brooks. I'm supposed to say it everywhere else, but he who can post bail does not go to jail. This is something that happened. This is a true story. I posted it on Facebook. One of my good friends, God rest the dead, died of cancer. Tough son of a bitch. Edgar Terraganicion. My son, my second child, my second boy, his middle name is Edgar, named after this. I know Edgar's one of them old ass names that needs to be retired. Just bear with me. And if he does what I plan on doing, keeping this James Anthony Coleman thing going, there'll be some Kai Edgars going down the line for a while. But there's a reason why this guy meant so much to me. He was a walk-on at Florida State. He was a walk-on D tackle. If he was 6 foot, that was being gracious. If he was 220 pounds, that was being gracious. He never had delusions of grandeur. He never wanted to go to the NFL. The only thing he wanted to do was walk on and play for Florida State, play in the game. He wanted to pledge Omega Psi Phi and get a degree. He did all three of those things. He got in the game. He actually, when Coach Bowden broke the all-time wins record, he was one of the guys that was hoisting Coach Bowden up. T.O. was a man of such impact that when he had his funeral, the head coach for Florida State at the time, Jimbo Fisher, came. Odell Haggins came. The chief of police in Tallahassee, the chief of FSU PD. I think he was a Mason, a white Mason, but he was also an Omega. Everybody came to his funeral from near and far to come and take. So I still have the last text message that me and him exchanged and the last voicemail on my phone. And this is a guy who passed, I want to say 2011. So it's been 10, 11 years since he's passed. But T.O. was no longer on the team. He had graduated. T.O. comes and he asked me, hey, I want to get some tickets to the Orange Bowl from you guys. Can you get me tickets? I'm like, yes. How many tickets you need? I think he needed just one. So we got him the one ticket. I did not tell my family. Again, Edgar is Armenian, but he just looks white. Like, you would just thought he's a white dude with a tan. Gold teeth. Crazy, wild guy. My god brothers, I've talked about some of them, the things that they've done in the past and a lot of shit. But they're in the stands with my mom and my sister as somebody spills beer on my sister. And that wasn't, again, so I didn't need to know this shit because I'm on the field handling business. But what happens is before my boys could get ready to do the ignorant shit that I can't participate in because I'm the bag, T.O. immediately jumps into this big ass white man shit. And he forces him to take his shirt off to give it to my sister because he spilled beer on her and he made him apologize. Or he was going to whoop his ass. See, I'm not saying that guy attacked my sister because of who I was. I'm not that arrogant. But what I'm saying is it was the people in the stands corrected the behavior of the knucklehead. Now, if T.O. wouldn't have done that, Darian and all them probably would have beat the shit out of him. Stomped him like he was the last, like it was a fight song in the club back in the early 2000s. To the beat, too. But T.O. did that, and what should have happened was Chris Paul shouldn't have had to say a word. somebody should have noticed that was that. Huh, I don't know, but that older lady looked like she's somebody's mama. And you touched that older lady, and they should have just literally gave him boom right across the cheek. Because it shouldn't even have to come to the players. But so many people decide that they can talk to the players, and as players, and this is why only certain members of my family I truly discuss. I try not to say names for a reason, because a lot of y'all too familiar. Y'all talk to me how you feel like you need to talk to me, but at the end of the day, I asked for this shit. Chris Paul's mom, only thing she did was create a son that's elite. She didn't ask to be accosted because he had a good game or maybe had a bad game. She didn't ask for all of this other shit. Chris did. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't have the ability to enjoy the fruits of her labor being able to play. But I really do believe that the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, professional indoor lacrosse, soccer, all of this shit should really loosen the reins. Put it on the ticket. The purchaser acknowledges the risk involved with going to a professional sporting event. If the purchaser heckles, the purchaser understands that they may be dealt with legally and by those who are in the arena. Just a little blurb just to make sure that they understand that you could get your ass whooped. And I think that's the problem with America, is everybody wants to be a badass until it's time to do badass shit. It's cool to talk that shit until somebody puts their paws on you. Now, you know, it just takes one good example because we haven't been on since this happened. Will Smith is who I blame for this shit. Yep. Because Will Smith should have been handled accordingly. But as most things in the world, you may not agree with his comedy. You may not like his jokes. But Dave Chappelle has put things in the proper place in society. A guy came up and tried to run up on him with a fake gun and a fake knife, and my guy got stomped like to smithereens. I've never seen an arm. Yeah. I've never seen an arm be like out of place like that. It's bullshit that he's not facing any criminal charges, well, misdemeanors, but no felonies, nothing that could get him to go to jail. But Dave Chappelle, Busta Rhymes, Jamie Foxx. I know Chris Rock was on stage. I don't know if he got a kick in, but basically Jon Stewart looked like he might have got some. Basically, everybody collectively joined forces and did a We Are the World type ass whipping on this motherfucker who decided to get too friendly. You cannot blur the line of entertainer and entertainee. It's like jumping into a lion's cage and being mad at the lion for acting like a fucking lion. You come across here and you come with that bullshit, you're going to get checked. I don't care if you like what somebody said. I don't care if you like what they play. There is a time and a place and a way and a responsibility to handle this shit. And unfortunately, too many of you have gotten away with too much stuff over the past few years to where you feel encouraged to go up and speak and talk to people in a manner that's unbecoming. Because I tell you this much. Y'all fuck with my mama. Y'all fuck with my mama, and it's on and popping, dog. It is on. It's on and popping. I don't really even know what else to say about that part. But like,
it's even more tense because of his position as in the players' union too.
Oh yeah, because he's yeah.
So, but I mean, at certain points, everything goes out the window.
I'm putting that shit in the CBA. like, we don't need this shit. And I say we, I'm not a format, but like people, like just entertaining. Like if I do a live show, you don't like my opinion on something, don't come. I have yet to see somebody. Let me tell you this: because logical, engaging debate can change people's opinion. Now, when it gets to name calling, that shit never happens. I've never seen somebody say, "Man, damn, I was all against abortion until somebody whooped my ass." That person whooped my ass, and all of a sudden, I'm just like, "God damn, let's have abortions." I was against homosexuals' rights until, man, that motherfucking homosexual beat the shit out of me, and then now I'm pro. Like damn it, I did not like negros. But then when a group of negros came up and beat the shit out of me, it made me realize that I'm not saying violence isn't necessary sometimes, because it is. But what I'm saying is I have never seen anybody change their mind after being assaulted. Now, you physically, maybe, I mean, you civilly assault them. You do you put some barriers in there to make them change their mind, but ain't nobody changing their mind because you do that. And it's very stupid when we have real issues in this world to go to places where you're entertained. Because this is the other part of it, is that when you do shit like this, right, you fuck up the experience for everybody else. So now people who are sitting in those seats, now they may have some extra precautions and shit that they got to deal with that they didn't have to deal with the last time. So y'all keep fucking it up for everybody because of your own self. You're selfish. But you're probably jealous too because you couldn't dribble or shoot a basketball. It's not our fault that you weren't born a mutant. Speaking of which, I pick on our guy Bobby, who's no longer who's not right here. He's doing this thing real big time. Love what he's doing with the Comedy Zone. Love his podcast. Y'all go make sure y'all check out Maybe Bobby. I went over to, because again, it seems like every fucking day, hell, we're gonna make, me and my guy with Sporadics, Chris, we're gonna make an NIL podcast just so I can talk about NIL once a week, because every day some shit is happening in the NIL space that we have to talk about. But before I get into a lot of those things, I was in Tallahassee yesterday, which is why we didn't have our show on Monday. We'll have our show on Wednesday. We'll have our show on Friday, even though we're going to pre-record the show on Friday, so don't get upset or your panties in a wad. But I will be like playing golf all day Friday. So like that's what I'm doing with booster shit. But I was in Tallahassee, met with Mutaki Akbar. Yes, tough one, man. I hope I said it right. An attorney, went to FAMU, Chuck Hobbs, a few guys. We were talking about name, image, and likeness for Isaiah Land with this new NIL space that I'm getting into with managing athletes and stuff like that, basically creating opportunities for them. Check out College Fan Coin for him, for Isaiah Land. Also, if you're a Florida State fan, we'll have a College Fan Coin. Basically, that's metaverse spaces for Isaiah and for Michaela Edenfield up here in the next few weeks. We'll have NFTs for both of them as well. Those NFTs will get you special exclusive access to them, as well as other events that go on in all of the worlds that are connected with me, Sports Den, those guys. There's going to be a lot of benefits and perks in owning these NFTs. It's not like your other NFTs. We're not laundering money here. You're not buying an ape for $1 million and then, it is just a piece of artwork. This is literally a card that gives you access to specific things that benefit, the student athlete. But so every day I got some more things going on with that. The University of Miami, in particular, John Ruiz, has been very, very active in the NIL space. And I actually love it. It's kind of dope. Like, it's your money and splurge. Flaunt that shit. Do whatever you want to do. But in that, you are getting attention because of yourself. So, like, what I mean is, the NCAA has just been kind of quiet on it because they didn't want their hands on it. But the SEC commissioner, Sankey, the Pac-12 commissioner, other commissioners have come and said, please, NCAA, do something. Shit getting wild out here, man. At least enforce your rules. While guys like John Ruiz were making statements like, I have only been saying this from day one. To reiterate, this is why LifeWallet has a true FMV and pay-for-play platform. The more structures I see and hear about, the more horrified I am. And like, the one thing you can't do is essentially pay for play. Like, they're very, very adamant about not having athletes pay for play. So what the NCAA did was they cracked down on what they can do. And what's wild about it is it's not just for now, it's retroactive. So what does retroactive mean for those who don't know? Like, basically they can go back in time and say whatever. But here's the thing. Here was the guidance sent from the NCAA Board of Directors to D1 membership regarding NIL collectives and booster rules. During its February 2022 meeting, the NC Division I Board of Directors charged the NC Division I Council with considering how name, image, and likeness is affecting student athletes, including influence on student school choice and transfer, the impact on academics and student mental health, as an additional measure without impacting the positive NIL experiences that students are experiencing. The board noted that the council may consider adjustments that can be appropriately made to the interim NIL policies or to NCAA rules. The board requested that the council provide an initial report in April 2022 and a final report with recommendations in June 2022. As a result, the board's charge, a subgroup of the council, examined the current NIL environment and developed additional NIL guidance specific to third-party involvement in the recruiting process. So this is really where it gets weird, is guys are going to schools based upon what they can get with the NIL. It's the only real rule in the NIL book is that you cannot negotiate or go to a school based upon what you're going to get in NIL deals. So what this means is I can't tell a kid, you come to Florida State, I'm going to give you $1 million. And then that kid commits. And then that kid decides to decommit and go to Tennessee. Technically, in order for me to be in compliance, I still have to give that kid the $1 million, or it's perceived that the contract fell through because he did not go, which is clear violation. And the other thing is you can't pay for play. So I cannot give you money for sacks. I cannot give you money for touchdowns. I cannot give – now, it's wild because I cannot give you money because you're good. Now, what's wild is the more popular a player is because the better they are. And the better you are, the more marketable you are. So technically, it is pay for play, no matter how you want to slice it. But that's illegal. You can't have pay for play. The guidance is effective immediately. And let me make sure I read that. My bad. The guidance is not intended to create new regulation, but provide additional guidance. The guidance was informed by feedback from the Transformative Committee, the Council Coordination Committee, and ratified by the Board of Directors, blah, blah, blah. The guidance is effective immediately for violations that occurred before May 9th, 2022. The board directed the enforcement staff to review the facts of individual cases, but to pursue only those actions that clearly are contrary to the published interim policy, including the most severe violations of recruiting rules or payment for athletes' performance. Schools are reminded of their obligation to report any potential violations through the traditional self-reporting process. The board noted that the emphasis of this NIL guidance is on the recruiting process and is not intended to question the eligibility of prospects and enrolled students. Only the most serious actions that clearly violate the previously published interim policy would have consequences. So, some deals that I know of. There's a defensive tackle from formerly of Maryland that's at the University of Miami, Darrell Jackson. So, did he go to the University of Miami for an NIL deal? Did Mims consider Florida State or stay at Georgia purely for NIL purposes? Did Travis Hunter not go to Florida State because of NIL? Did this kid, the Bijan Robinson, go to Texas because of NIL deals? Like that's really where it comes down to. and they're going to examine the University of Miami, the University of Georgia, the Ohio State University a little stronger than they've examined everybody else because of this. And now what the NCAA should do, which could curb and help this process, is all players investigated are immediately ineligible until proven that they did not choose this. And not just your words. Emails, text message receipts, contracts, performer data on the contracts. Does the money that you got match what the current rate is of what you're, and it's tough to kind of negotiate and deal with some of those things, like, appearance fee. But did you get a $10,000 appearance fee when you're an 18-year-old that nobody's ever heard of besides football? Like, when the going rate is $1,000. Those are the things that the NCAA has to look at. And I don't mean to be like to where the players don't get paid. But I do think that when you do provide that little bit of incentive, it makes sure that guys are going to do, these collectives are going to do things to the next level. So a lot of people ask me about Micanopy 1851. How do you guys remain in compliance? We've partnered with a company called BasePath, and BasePath, as well as Athliance, I'm going to shout out to my guy Pete, their sole purpose is to make sure you're NCAA compliant and that you are directly reporting the things to the compliance office at your respective schools, and that the athletes are not going to, that they're going to be taken care of and covered properly. And I think one of the big things that's missing in all of this is that the athletes are young and they don't know how to properly clear these things. And I think boosters, fans, and other people talk too fucking much. One of the things I used to always say about bagmen is that because here's what the state of Florida has always had on the books in regards to bagmen. You can actually go to jail for trying to influence a minor with money. It's called the Tank Black Law. University of Florida has some guys get fucked over by Agent Tank Black. Yeah, I mean, that's the nickname. But like, basically, he went to jail. You can legitimately go to jail for fucking up that. Now, the NIL stuff kind of changes that, but that's what it used to be. But when I used to tell people, if you and everybody else know so vividly what a player got, the specific amount a player got, then you don't know anything. Then either you're lying or that bag man is really flirting with the fact that he wants to go to the booty house because he wanted to give a little boy some money. I always say, if it was that, because I bring it back to this, and when I was explaining this to one of my colleagues, and we were talking about this, I'm like, every year between January 1st and April 15th is federal income tax. People who get refunds, they get these. They get income tax refunds from a couple $1,000s to, low five figures. Do you know what happens collectively in the hood when people get these things? You know what? Fuck that. Do you know what happened to America when we got stimulus checks? How many of those people did you know just went and saved their money? I'm going to go. Like, for every LLC, Twitter, and think piece, there was, which is another reason why I don't believe you motherfuckers in this $400 first date. You motherfuckers was getting stimulus checks. Your ass can't afford no goddamn $400 first date. You know who could afford it? Me. You know what the fuck I wasn't getting? A goddamn stimulus check, and I want my shit, Joe. I'm mad about that shit. But anyways, I got distracted. But when you get this money, that's when black people go buy their beater cars. That's when they go buy the clothes. That's when they go do stupid shit. I remember every year my daughter's mother, when she got it, she couldn't wait to get her fucking income tax check. She couldn't, like, the money was already spent on something foolish. For me, for baby girl, everybody, like, it just fucking didn't matter. I'm like, I don't need this shit. So if that's what black people would do when you put, let's say, $15,000 in their hand of their money that they get in return, what do you think is going to happen if a bag man gave them $500,000? Like, I want you to think logically, people. I want you to step back, because all you guys report on, because the funny thing in the article that Yahoo posted is that hundreds of deals, not thousands. There's thousands of NCAA athletes, but only hundreds of deals. So what that's telling you is that it's not a lot of these deals. And I'm telling you guys, a lot of these deals are no more than $35,000 to $65,000. Most of them. There may be some that are big, like $1 million over 4 years, but even them, it's still cheap. It's still not as much as those guys going to the NFL, which is the goal. But what do you think happens if you gave a whole bunch of 18 to 24-year-olds 6 figures? I'll tell you what happens. You can research what happens. Go Google rap videos. You'll see exactly what happens. The strip clubs will be getting a stimulus boost. People will be driving all kinds of wild, fancy cars. Jury, all kinds of different things will be happening. But you're not seeing that. You know why you're not seeing that? Because the shit's simply not happening. I'm not saying people aren't getting paid. What I'm saying is your irrationality for the fear of the black man's wallet is dumb. Again, as I said before, don't nobody give a fuck about what happens in my pants, my wallet or my dick more than conservative white people who want less government and everything else except for with my dick and with my wallet, which baffles me. Please leave my penis and my checkbook alone. For Christ's sake, let me be me. Let me be me. Let my sons be who they are in all of those different things as well. But they're going to adapt more laws. They're going to go retroactive. They're going to really come at the neck of Miami, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, some of these other places. And the cool thing is if they were in compliance and they can back it up, they'll be cool. I'm really curious at what the fuck Life Wallet does to be throwing around all this money. So if nothing else, we'll all actually, John Ruiz is either going to get the best marketing he's ever gotten, or we're going to find out that he's full of shit. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it's a kind of combination of all of it.
So with them cracking down, what does it mean when Isaiah Wong from Miami, his agent says he will enter the transfer portal if his NIL compensation isn't increased, which is basically just asking for more?
Well, they got to look at the contract. So if his contract is the same as it was when he signed last year, there is no pay for play.
Okay.
But if it's renegotiated, which all contracts can be renegotiated, there has to be clear. So NILs, actually, I'm going to pull up my companies, Micanopy, how we do shit. If I can find my email, because
yeah, I just seen that headline not too long ago, and I was thinking, how can you possibly be so bold, even though you're just the agent? This whole kid's future is at stake.
Right, agents aren't smart. Agents' job is one thing: is to collectively get money. God damn. Okay. We Oh, wow. Okay. I need to be checking my email more often. Okay, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So here, guidelines. I'm gonna read the stuff that's more of so in any deal, there must be a specific ask, meaning let's go Sports Did. Sports Did wants Anthony Richardson to do a weekly Gator talk that he shares on his social media. He shares on his social media along with 3 posts during the week of clips from said podcast. That's the ask, right? Mm-hmm. The give $1,000 a month.
Okay.
To get that, you have to you have to give like a proof of performance. So like, okay, boom, on this date we had this social media post. So we have the recording, we have this social media post, we have that social media post. Check, check, check. Clear ask, clear give. clear performance markers. So now that could be sent to the university for them to file it. Anybody can come back and reflect on that. You again, so the ask cannot be remotely for pay for play. It can't say in a contract we'll give you more if you beat the University of Florida or the University of Miami. There are no escalators for performance there are no escalators for performance on the field.
Okay.
Where the performance is where you can have stuff like, so let's say we created an NFT, and the NFT is again basically the monkey pictures, the different things that you see. Let's say with Michaela, I want to sell. My goal is to make 400 NFTs. We're going to sell at $200 a pop. I believe that's $80,000. For her name, image, and likeness, I'm going to guarantee her $20,000 because we don't know if we're going to sell all those, but we know it's something valuable. We're going to use it. The ask is the permission to use your picture, permission to use your name, permission to market your name to people, to fans, to clearly get a reasonable amount of money back for it. Now, there may be other asks for that NFT as well. We need you to show up to a tailgate. We need you to sign paraphernalia once a month. We need you to do this, show up to this event once a month, blah, blah, blah. So again, those are the asks. She says yes, she gets $20,000 plus a percentage of the total net if it goes over. Woo, woo, woo. So that just means if we're selling more merch than we thought we were going to sell, we actually have the right to give her more.
Okay.
So it's not that. Now, with that being said, she keeps hitting home runs like she's hitting, more motherfuckers gonna buy NFTs. So it isn't based on that, but it doesn't hurt. So that's where a lot of this stuff gets going. And what happens is these articles are under the pretense that they are being given something. These athletes are not being given shit. They are earning this. This is a marketing deal. This is no different than you old ass motherfuckers on, and I'm gonna start calling y'all out because y'all motherfuckers ain't covering my shit. You old ass motherfuckers on War Chant every goddamn day, bitching and complaining about the NIL while you get paid to talk about athletes. People give you bonuses on your YouTube streams, like just for no reason, because you haven't done anything to earn that shit besides talk about athletes and why you don't think those athletes should be getting money. It's not that. No, you're not earning shit. The motherfuckers that's in the weight room when I saw them yesterday, those are the ones who are earning things. So I say this to you to say, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a wild summer. I love it though, because nobody's gonna take this line down. John Ruiz is a lawyer, so when you come at the as the joke in the group chat for Goodfellas was, if you aim at the king, you best not miss. And the NCAA and their track record with the legal system right now is terrible, because basically Congress and the Supreme Court has all said you've had decades to try to figure this shit out. Yet you sat on your hands under the guise of amateurism. Even the person who modernized the NCAA to what we know now spent most of his dying years combating the NCAA and its rules of amateurism. You don't want caps on the old white men that coach these guys. You don't want caps on the old white men who negotiate these billion-dollar TV deals. But you want caps on the young men and women who go out here and bust their ass and have done nothing but be elite. It's the exact opposite of capitalism. But I will say that there are vultures, but that's about as capitalist that's about as American as apple pie. People will always take advantage of. The boys and girls are being taken advantage of now.
So you don't have a problem with John Ruiz?
I have no problem with John Ruiz. If I was a billionaire, you know what? I'll double down on it. Let me tell you what I would do. James Coleman wins the Mega Millions. I don't know what it is. Or 8 ball, not 8 ball. 8 ball's coke. Mega ball or whatever the fuck it's called. And I become a billionaire overnight. I will make it known that I'm buying guys. Point blank and different. You don't get to dictate, again, like I said, you don't get to dictate what I do with my dick or what I do with my money. As long as I pay my taxes, as long as I do everything above board and it's legal. If I want to go buy, you can't buy people. That's illegal. I was going to say if I want to buy midgets, I would buy midgets. You can't legally buy people. Try to think of a better way to say this. But if I want to buy a fleet of cars, I'm going to buy a fleet of cars. You can tell me, you reserve the right to say it's stupid. I reserve the right to say that you're broke and that you can't do it. Now, if I want to see my favorite sports team, i.e. T. Boone Pickens with Oklahoma State, win while I'm alive and can win consistently, I'll be that. I love the fact that he's talking his shit and galvanizing a fan base to come behind him. Even lying about shit that don't even make sense like that. Normal people would be like, yo, like this motherfucker said, we're going to move a school. Like a whole fucking public school to build a stadium. Like shit don't work like that, bro. Like there's a lot of shit that goes into building schools. Like they build communities around these schools. Like these are 20 and 30 year plans. It ain't just like the neighborhood I live in right now, where they built Atlantic Coast, the high school. I remember talking to the guy, and it's crazy how time flies, because again, this was like 12 years ago. The coach said there's going to be a middle school that's going to be right up here, like right adjacent to the school. And at the time, he said they're going to open up the back, and they're going to be this huge community behind it. Well, it didn't happen like he said it was going. I thought it was going to happen immediately, but like 3 years ago, they started building this thing called E-Town, and now E-Town is completely developed, and it's amazing and it's gorgeous, and you can get to Atlantic Coast 2 ways now, and it's dope. You're not gonna, just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're gonna stop everybody from doing what they were planning to do, because you're fucking up everybody's money. Everybody's not a University of Miami fan. But I love the fact that he's just, at this point, he's going 4-5 mode, Donald Trump mode. Just pull it out. If I keep saying shit, this shit might not happen, but eventually something's going to happen, and all it's going to do is boost my brand to build it. I love it. It's very Miami, very swagalicious. I don't think a lot of this shit's going to fly, but it's dope. But again, there are clear, so you can't, and there's other avenues. So like college fan coin. So we have a Tallahassee, we have a Texas A&M, we have Florida A&M, we have Arizona State. I think we're going to have a Michigan. We have a couple other schools. You'll hear more about college fan coin in the coming weeks as well. And college fan coin, matter of fact, I need to have Little T on, because it was really the brainchild of a college student athlete, which again is the forgotten shit that people are missing with NILs, is that now student athletes can create and make money off of stuff while they're still in school. And how you can't, so what a lot of these collectives are doing is they're getting money, they're raising money, and then they're paying guys for appearance fees. So, but you have to, there's still a clear ask. Like Boys and Girls Club ask them to come here. They give $250 to Boys and Girls Club. Boys and Girls Club gives $250. It's a weird way of it really is laundering money, but I'm just saying, like, it's washing money in different hands. They're donating $250 to the Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club is giving $250 to the student athletes for coming out. Shit like that. But now you ain't got to worry about that, because college fan coin, you could go up and let's just say you want to give Amari Gaynor or whatever. Yeah, Amari has a crib in the metaverse. You want to give Amari $10. You can't give Amari $10. That's illegal. But you can pay $10 to be on Amari's fan wall, and Amari gets 85% of that. It's a clear ask. It's a clear receive from the fan, and Amari gets to get paid in the residuals and the things that goes on with that. So
this really is the Wild West.
It's just stuff that
But it's new.
It's new. It will balance itself out. The market always corrects itself, but the market also dictates the value. The thing that sucks about this, and that the NCAA could have curtailed all of this stuff, is by having contracts where you pay the student athletes to be there. People don't understand how contracts work. They're not under contract. They have a grant and aid that the school is required to pay on an annual basis, and that could be ripped up. Now, there is stuff that basically restricts how you can, with member schools, how you can transfer and go in and out. But the reality is things are still formalized. But where the jealousy is coming in is that NIL is about projections. If you're already at, I'll just use 4 seconds like there, and you haven't made a play, you don't have any projections until you start making plays. So you don't need if you're a current student athlete, you've been broke this long, man, bet down the hatches and get the fuck out of there and get to the NFL. Worry about the NFL, you'll get an NIL deal. If you're a transfer student, NIL is based on your projections. You got to sign somewhere first. They can't say you got $100,000 until you get there. And then they have to have $100,000 worth of things for you to do. It can't just be, okay, here's a check for $100,000, Flourish King. Yeah. You have to do stuff for it. It's for incoming freshmen. You can't just say, I'm going to give you $50,000. It's got to be that with clear ask and clear receivables. And it's something that if you stink, you won't get it again. Yeah. But hypothetically, in the next 4 to 5 years, everybody would have had an NIL deal that's on the team. So, like, nobody would be there would be no jealousy.
I mean, at worst, billionaires may make a couple of bad investments. I don't see how that affects the population. I'm all for it. I want to see billionaires ball out. Spend money on some guy I don't know or can never pronounce his name. Maybe he does good, maybe he doesn't. It's exciting.
It's basically people liken recruiting to dating. So it's 2 things you got to have if you're dating. You got to have a mean talk game. I got a friend, Drew. Drew is just as short is just as tall as he is wide. Oh, and he's short and he's wide. But this dude, I've seen this dude flirt and talk 5 chicks into like just liking him because he's funny. And he has no care. He says whatever's on his mind. Drew also did 17 years. So like damn. Drew's living his best life right now. He's happy to be alive and out. Now, you got people with money. They don't have to have as good of a talk game. They have money. They can buy shit. They can be flashy. They can be these things. That's what recruiting has been. It's what it's always been. You people talk about the bag man. Nothing has changed. It's just the bag man is legal now. That's all. A couple people have put out post-NFL draft tiers. Your Super Bowl favorites, the Bills, the Bengals, the Rams, contenders, the Russell Wilson Broncos, Green Bay Packers, San Diego Superchargers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs. Nothing crazy. Playoff teams, the Arizona Cardinals, which is wild because everybody talks about how Christian Kirk is that good. The Indianapolis Colts, who shouldn't be a playoff team, but they are. The Raiders, the Washington, whatever, the Commanders, Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants. That's wild. Just missed the playoffs. The Ravens, the Browns, the 49ers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans. If you haven't heard, somebody just realize. Wildcard contenders, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Saints, Panthers. 5 to 7 wins, meaning just good enough to be below average. Bears, Jags, Lions, Texans, Eagles, potential number 1 overall pick, the Falcons and the Seahawks. So Jaguar fans, all the excitement that your beat is writing, everybody else is not excited. They're saying like, well, yes, 5 wins, yes, but you're still ass. You'll still be drafted top 10. That's basically what they're saying. So like, congratulations. I guess. Hope for the best. Lastly, before we wrap up today's show, one of the things about becoming rich and wealthy out of the hood is you always feel like you need to be connected. You always feel like, and to quote Kevin Samuels, God rest his dead, black masculinity has never been defined by black men. It's always defined by others, and it's always defined by the physical. It's never defined by the mental. It's never defined by your wealth. No matter how wealthy you are, you're always relegated, to your sexual prowess and your ability to whoop somebody's ass or get somebody's ass whipped. He made these comments after the Will Smith, Chris Rock incident, meaning that Will Smith is Will fucking Smith. He's one of the most successful black men in modern history to walk the planet, in particular in the entertainment industry. And yet his manhood and defending his pride and his woman had to be relegated to slapping somebody else and another man and knocking another man down who was just doing his job. I don't care where you sit on the plane for that. I'm not here to fucking argue that. But what I mean by this and where is this coming into is coming out of the neighborhood that I came out of. There are a few things that I learned. I learned the metric system very well, how to convert basically the metric to the American standard, because you don't want to fuck up the money. Everybody knows how to do that. And you learn certain legal laws. You learn about conspiracy. You learn about RICO. You learn about a lot of these things. And as one of the old heads in my neighborhood always stated, you learn a lot about how hard a man really is when he's facing Buck Rogers years. Now, Buck Rogers was a famous sci-fi thriller where like it took place in like, what's ironic, it was like in the 70s, I think, but it took place, a lot of things took place like in the 2030s or like basically in the time we're living now. So just imagine in the 70s thinking about 2022. Like you'd be like, I can't even think that far ahead. Like we're going to have flying cars and shit. So Young Thug, Gunna, and a lot of these rappers have amassed millions or Young Thugs millions. A lot of these guys, at least hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to completely transform their life based upon a skill set of them being able to tell poetry, which is what rap is, and use their voice as an instrument. And they're telling about their lives that they've lived. And the unfortunate part is this need to feel real, this need to stay connected. And I fall victim to a lot of this shit too. Not to their level, but like, I don't like being treated like I'm a bitch. I used to like to fight. I used to like to do a lot of things, but that's truly my last resort. I'm not trying to get nobody killed. I'm not trying to do a lot of this other shit. Once I put my paws on you, life's changed. But Young Thug and Gunna got hit with 56 RICO counts. And that shit probably carries a ton. Now, I've met with my guy Chuck Hobbs. He's the only person that I've ever seen defeat that. Chuck Hobbs represented a guy, damn, I can't even think of his name right now, but he was a former Florida State booster that I know. And it was a scandal that took down the lieutenant governor in the state of Florida and a bunch of people. But he represented the guy. They tried to make him the fall guy. I think he got hit with 55 RICO counts.
Jeez.
But he was proven not guilty on 53 of them. He pled the 2, but the judge basically wrote in there that he believes he was the fall guy. He got time served. It was crazy. Like, because when the Fed comes at you, they're not really asking you. Like, they know. And they're trying to get to see if you're going to tell the truth and make their job easier. And if you make their job harder, they're going to put these crazy amount of years on you. But allegedly, one of the most egregious things that Young Thug tried to get another rapper who's in jail killed by one of his homeboys. And they have the phone call taped, allegedly. What I'm saying is between this, what a lot of these young rappers in the city that we're located in Jacksonville, Florida, who rap about murders, you guys are incredibly talented. you're making money, but you're making money to die or to go to jail. Kids spot him, got him, get shot up in Miami late last year, or this time last year, I believe. Maybe a little bit later. He had a great song or a hit song, beatbox, that went viral. You've got guys like Young A-Scene here in Jacksonville who are is phenomenally talented, really good rapper. But you keep rapping about bodies. Fulio, good rapper. I remember first hearing about Fulio on our text line when we joked about, so actually before I heard about Who I Smoke, which went viral, you guys are, and then the wild part is a lot of these guys are rapping about stuff, and they're not in the cities in which they claim, and other people's bodies are the ones that are dropping. Cut that shit. Your masculinity is defined by your ability to provide a different way of life for your family. You can't provide for your family if you're not here. And anybody who's really been to jail will tell you that's not where you want to be at. Jail ain't cool, man. I see the videos and like they're making hibachi and they're doing a lot of other shit. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cool. I don't know if that's low security or what it is, but I've also heard the other stories about, if anybody wants to know like what it really is like and see what rehabilitation is like, Ali Sadiq, I think is the comedian's name.
Yeah, you got it.
Listen to him talk about prison and his mindset in getting out of it, and how candid he talks about prison riots, how he had to basically harm people because they tried to get him killed. It's not a life that you built in, and you're in the world moves on, because once you get in there and you're gone, you're basically dead until you're not. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of good that these guys do and that they can do, but you choose ignorant shit. Like, that's why I love Rick Ross. Rick Ross, don't know how much drugs he sold. I know he was a correction officer. That shit's funny. But the rap music, and I feel like I'm old and I don't want to be hypocritical, but the rap music that I listen to is aspirational. Jay-Z talked about the drug game, but the evils that came in with the drug game. It's funny. One of the quotes just came to me as soon as I found out about the RICO. People, you hit with the RICO, you repo your vehicle, shit was all good just a week ago. Ready to start snitching, ain't you? Ready to start bitching, ain't you? I forgive your weak ass, hustling just ain't you. Aside from the fast cars and the honeys that will shake their ass in bars, you wouldn't be involved with the underworld killers, carriers of Mac Millers, East Coast bodiers, West Coast cat pillars. And he goes on and on talking about, yeah, it's cool to floss. It's cool to stunt. The money's dope. But here's the other side of the game that comes with that. Always watching your back from police or rivals, shit like that. And Rick Ross will rap about shit that's so egregious that it's just not true. But it's like nobody in the old era rapped about, except for Pusha T. It's the only motherfucker that I know that still wants to sell dope, move keys. Everybody else rapped about how, man, I'm so grateful to be out of this. But like 50 Cent even had a bar, could sell a brick, but one rap I can make the same. It's use your talents to influence the circle around you, get them out of a bad situation. And I'm not even suggesting don't rap about that shit. What I'm suggesting about is don't make that shit so personal and stop trying to carry this weight of feeling like you got to be a goon. Because what happens is with all of this shit is that eventually somebody's going to pull your card and you got to figure out what's more important to you. The millions, being there for your kids, taking care of your family, and really investing that money into the community, or giving that money to some high-priced lawyer to make sure you're free. Please continue to follow us. Check us out on the SoundCloud, YouTube, all this stuff. Got a great interview that I did with Locked On Seminoles, talking about my career, talking about NIL, talking about Florida State, Mike Norvell, the future. Stay tuned for a lot of this other stuff that we're going to be putting out Hopefully, we'll be getting some more content, more interviews, doing stuff with Denny with 6 points, doing some other stuff with Mikanopi 1851. Check out all the different channels, man. You guys stay safe. And you know what? I'll see you guys on Wednesday.